Excellent. Welcome, everybody. I thought, I don't know, I've been like, because I've been off this week, I thought that it would be super great and relaxing, but it turns out that I had just so much more time on my hands to like follow the news all of the time, all of the time. So I was just thinking of everybody that was going through horrible things. So let's go around and say like one good thing that happened this week. So I will start. One good thing that happened for me this week is that my youngest son started a new school, and it's really nice, and he seems to like it, and I'm really pleased with, like, last year I felt when everything shifted online that they were just like, it was like doing a million worksheets, and it didn't seem like a super quality education, but he seems to be doing really interesting kind of in-depth work, and he's enjoying it. So that is one good thing that I would like to share about my week. Matthew, what would you like to share?
Let's see. I I didn't do a lot this week. So I guess one kind of fun thing that I started like a new side project, and so I really started digging into Figma for mockups, and I've used it to like copy other people's designs for my job, but I've never actually
Mm-hmm.
created my own. So that's just been really fun. Like I had this idea for months, and so I started, putting it pad and paper, and then I was like, what am I doing? There's computers for this. And so then I started moving it over to Figma, and I spent like, all yesterday and the day before doing that, and just like seeing it come to life with like the preview mode is really cool. So that was fun. Yeah.
Oh, super fun. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you want to pick the next person?
Sure. Lauren, you.
I don't know why this week was hard for me in particular. I think I'm just, I guess maybe losing the first day, everything kind of piled on this week. And I have this other project I really wish I didn't agree to. It's kind of one of those things where the hours are going to just like spill out of control, and they have a limited budget, and I did it because I knew the people and wanted to help them, but I know I'm going to get kind of the short end of the stick. And yeah, they're not super organized, but then when they finally send me something, they're like, oh, any updates? And they sent it the one weekend I was at a wedding, so it's fine. But in addition to that, I'm like a huge travel person, and I haven't been thinking about it much since obviously we're all grounded. But someone told me about how next May they got a $200 round trip to Tokyo from Pennsylvania, which is amazing. But I'm also I just think like I'm dying to start doing something again, and it's almost like a tease. I haven't let myself think about it, and now that I'm thinking about it, I miss it so much. So yeah, you guys should look into flights for like May if we think that will be possible.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess I'm not a huge traveler, but it's my understanding that the airlines are a lot more forgiving with changing plans now. So if that is your thing, it might be actually worth it to buy those tickets.
Yeah, well, there were several trips I was supposed to go on that were canceled. I don't know. Hopefully they'll be good about letting us use those credits and then getting them back again. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I'm just missing life. Quinn?
Yeah, this week, it's I, it's just kind of moderate for me. I mean, I've been kind of just like at home. I've had the luxury of being able to like. I mean, I work a couple days in the city, but like just doing like a coffee shop job. But I mean, it's been pretty nice to be able to stay home for the majority of the time. I feel like I've always been trying to travel into New York. Always been like excited to go and get out of Jersey, but considering there's like nothing really to do right now in New York, it's nice to like have the open air and everything. So I mean that's something that's pretty good. Oh, also I ended up doing a coding challenge that I actually like passed. Like it was a pretty hard question. I was like, well, so I didn't get like I didn't get to the next round, but like I managed to like actually solve the question, and it was kind of a hard question, so I was like pretty happy about that. Yeah. But how about Kat?
Yeah, short week, super weird. It was good though. I signed up for a like Shopify theme development like course online. So I'm really excited to like start diving into that. because my best friend needs a portfolio. So we like worked out a thing. He's like a musician and visual artist, and also does like graphic design and like some sort of like some poster design and like brand identity stuff. So it should be fun to make him like a web store and also a portfolio. I'm super stoked about it.
Awesome. Keely.
Oh, Kat, I love that. It's so fun to work with friends on things like that. Yeah, one good thing this week, you know what, this week actually hasn't really been that bad. One nice thing, the fires and the air quality has been a little bit scary, but there's been a lot of donation drives just in the neighborhood to help evacuated folks get things like food and diapers. And so it's been really nice to see everybody band together and feel like you're a part of that. So yeah, that's been one really nice thing.
Awesome. I remember, so I live outside of Minneapolis, which is where George Floyd lived. And after he was killed and there were so many protests and lots of need in the city, tons of people just from all over were like lots of co-working spaces that aren't in operation right now because of the pandemic. We're organizing food drives to kind of restock the pantry shelves, and so that was pretty awesome. Cool. All right, thank you for sharing your good things with me, so I feel better. Let's do, I'm going to pass it up to Keely because Keely is running demos this week. Don't forget.
Right, awesome. I'm very excited for demos this week. So I think if I remember correctly, we had Lauren and Quinn, and then Kat and Tiana as our two pairs. Lauren and Quinn, do you mind if I ask you all to go first?
Oh, no problem. Should I share my screen, or do you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Cool.
This week was a doozy for us.
We did.
So we did leave the numbers in just for now to talk through, but we'll make sure to take it out as soon as we're done. Yeah, so this week we were charged with organizing the list a little bit. First of all, organizing it by purchase date, which we originally organized it by frequency, so we switched that yesterday. And also organizing it, reflecting that in the color as well. So as you can see here, the first numbers represent how many days are left until you're supposed to be buying that. So apples are in the soon category every 7 days, and right now someone bought it 3 days ago. And then the next category is the kind of soon. So we have some dates, and the dates will move into the soon category once it enters, it's within 7 days. And peaches as well, it's currently in the not soon category, but it will eventually move up through those 3 categories. Inactive is when it's marked by once you've passed your buy date ×2. So if the negative, let's say orange juice was supposed to be bought every 14 days and it reached past -14 in the purchase date, that would mean that it waited 2 full cycles and they still hadn't purchased it, it would move to inactive. Or if the frequency is so low that you buy it every 120 days, it would still stay in the inactive. Yeah, is there anything I missed, Quinn?
Just a visual thing for accessibility that we were charged with. Just making sure that like you can actually focus on the checkboxes, because we are that's it. Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's like we're able to actually see where our current focus is on the screen, so you can like actually trigger a checkbox or not. So yeah, that was another part of our acceptance criteria, or at least like I don't think it was literally part of the acceptance criteria, but in terms of the accessibility part of it, just a great add-on. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, I guess we can go to the code. Um, so yeah, so we ended up using Cat and Tiana had created an added date property on each document, so we were able to basically pull that in and use that in order to sort our items. Um, yeah, so like we created a bunch of helper functions to help us with determining how close something might be to being purchased again. And so you can see here, like we have setting whether it's active or inactive based on how close we are and the frequency of purchase. And then we have a switch case just to be able to tell which class to apply to the item, just to give it the correct color for checkboxes. And yeah, and when they're basically separated between inactive and active, and then inactive when the item is actually active, we're able to decide what category to put it in. Yeah, and then we just sort the items alphabetically and by purchase date, well, most recent purchase date, latest, and then return it, and that's where we get. Yeah, that's how we like. That's a basically sort it and fulfill the AC. I'm thinking, where is that? Oh, for ARIA label for screen readers on the input, and there's one more thing. Actually, I think it's a.
Yeah, and then if you want to go to the CSS part,
Mhm.
which I actually don't even really fully understand, but the color the color background of the check mark was 15. And basically what we had to do was hide the actual check mark and put our own on top of it. And then Lauren caught that it wasn't focused, it wasn't showing the highlighted box when we focused on it. So that's the very, very bottom. But we used the labels. Yeah, and then we use the labels to conditionally to change the background color. Any questions?
Yep.
This looks great.
Yeah, checkboxes are like notoriously difficult to style. So
Yes.
inevitably you end up like creating a fake checkbox and hiding the real checkbox, and then it leads to kind of weird accessibility issues. But I didn't even realize you could do what you did, Lauren, at the bottom. Yeah, so that's super awesome.
Yeah, that is very nice. Lauren, could you go back to, I think it was your switch statement, right above it, you were doing some math to calculate the frequency, I think.
Yeah, so here, I
was just curious on lines 44 and 45, and apologies if this is a dumb question, but you're dividing the frequency there by what number?
Oh, sorry.
What's that number signify?
Yeah, that's the number of milliseconds in a day, since our frequency
got it.
seconds.
It might be useful to like, in a few, I don't know, we can make it like a constant, I guess, like a just export a constant in a file and give it like a name.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe.
That makes sense. Since we
But,
use it
yeah.
multiple times.
Yeah, that's a good idea. They put it in that, even in that Firebase file. It's almost like a utils file now. Just, yeah.
Awesome. Great job. All right. Kat, would you like to demo next?
Yeah, for sure. All right. Let me know when you can see my screen.
Yep, we can see it.
Amazing. Let me just get the controls out of the way so they don't run into any issues. All right, so this week, RAC, we were tasked with, from the shopping list, user can navigate to a detailed view of the item. The detailed view of the item should include the following information. the last item purchase, or the name of the item, the last purchase date, the estimated number of days until next purchase, the number of times the item has been purchased. When in the item details view, a back arrow should appear in the header to take the user back to the list view. So here we have a list, which is lovely and sorted. Thank you, Quinn and Lauren. It looks amazing. So we've got a details button that appears next to every item. When you click it, it'll show the name, the last purchase date. If it has no last purchase date, it'll say this item has no purchase history. The next purchase date, which is based on the initially input how soon an item needs to be purchased, and then the number of times this has been purchased. Rather than saying the number of days until next purchase, we decided to follow the wireframe ultimately, because it just visually looked a little nicer, and it's conveyed the same information. And then when you hit the back button, it returns to the list. So let's see, we've got here, if there is a next purchase date and a last purchase date, it'll appear as such. So in our code, the main thing we did here was, oh goodness, sorry, I'm in the wrong code, or in the wrong branch. Just give me 1 second.
Okay.
I was just checking out Lauren and Quinn's. So I'll just, cool, that should be it. Sorry, 1 sec.
No worries at all.
Amazing. Hopefully this should be it. Beautiful. All right, so we created a details component ultimately to hold all of the information that would be displayed in the details modal. The first thing that we did was we had to figure out the number of purchases, the last purchase date, and the next purchase date. Using milliseconds, we were getting kind of ugly returns that were less human readable. So we decided to just convert them to something that was like a more readable format, just creating an object with all of the months of the year. And then displayed. We also set the ARIA label, rather than being on like the Unicode for the symbol for the caret, we put it on the button as per Lauren B's suggestion, which was awesome, and then displayed the details. We also created an object in the state of list for the details, and gave it an empty object. So when the details are present, the modal pops up, and when they are cleared, the modal goes away. So the details button ultimately just like pushes the data associated with that item up into this state. So it toggles between the two that way. And then we put it right near the bottom just because we didn't want to disrupt the flow of anything else. And Lauren B had sent me some resources on how to make it a little bit more accessible, just because it wasn't focusing, which will be applied after this. I just didn't unfortunately get a chance to read through them before presenting. Anyway, did you guys have any questions about anything?
No, I think this looks great. Thanks, Kat. That was a good walkthrough. Yeah, working with time and milliseconds and dates is always tricky. It's always interesting to see how you can work around that.
I love it. I did like a project in my boot camp that was just like a clock that updated with like an alarm, just so I could like play with all of the like time and date stuff. So we were able to steal some ideas from there. It was in jQuery, so it wasn't like apples to apples. But the idea of like the array of months sort of came from there.
What was I going to say? Oh, in your pull request, you had mentioned what had inspired your modal. Can you talk about that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So even like it was a previous project that I had been working on, and I wanted to create a modal. Had no idea how to do it, and was like looking for like React modals, figuring there was like maybe an easy way to do it, and found like I think it was like the modal bootstrap page, and inspected the code, saw what was there, and just sort of used that as like a sort of template for what we were doing, because they've got like a bunch of different examples of like different types of modals and like how to avoid like interaction with the background using like an overlay, and like real cool stuff. Highly recommend.
Nice. Good job.
Yeah. All right, awesome. Thanks, Kat. All right, and I think I'm going to be turning it over to Matthew now to start our retro.
Sure. Yeah, no problem. Let me share my screen. Let's see. Oh, I thought I was in the wrong one, and I realized Lauren had added some already. Awesome. Yeah, so what we'll do, same as, I think this is our third time doing a retro now. So we'll take between about 5-7 minutes. Definitely enough time just to make sure everyone has the time to get their thoughts down. I can drop this. Sorry, I keep having that in videos in my thing. I'll drop this link. I have it in Slack already, but I will put it in our Zoom chat if I can get that pulled up. Oh, it's because I'm sharing. Sorry. 1 second. All right, so there's the link to the project board. So we'll go until, let's say 11:33, so about 6 minutes. And if everyone just wants to add a card, at least one card for each would be great. And then we'll revisit them and walk through them. Any questions before we get started? Okay, awesome. We'll sync back up in a few minutes. All right, so I'll just give about another minute to wrap up. It looks like we've got quite a few here, so that's great. Um, I'll just give it another 30 seconds or so, and then I'll share my screen and we can start walking through them. What was that comment referring to, Lauren? About having to zoom out on GitHub?
Yeah, I can't. I have to zoom out really far in order to be able to get the boxes in my view. I feel like that.
Oh,
Try to
right.
scroll down. It's hard.
Yeah, for the columns.
I just think it's so weird that
Cool.
GitHub hasn't fixed that yet.
Yeah, it is kind of bizarre.
Nothing makes me happier than finding like bad, I don't know if they're bugs per se, but like something that's not as it should be on like really well professional websites. I'm like, yes, it's it's not just me. All right, perfect. All right, well, let me share my screen. Hopefully this goes better than last time when I shared it. All right, I'll zoom these out. Okay. So I will start with appreciations, and I'll just go in the order that they're here. So the most recently added are on the top. So Quinn, if you want to read your first appreciation card.
My mute was like the button kept collapsing. Anyway, yeah. So every week that we've gone through these code review processes, I feel like I just get more and more information on how to make the code better, and I'm always learning new things, and it's not, it's sometimes it's simple mistakes, sometimes things are easy to fix, but sometimes it's more like, I guess, honest, and it's like things that you, and it's not mean or anything, but it's just like, it's like things that we need to maybe like completely reconfigure. So I'm just really grateful that everyone so gives that advice freely, and we're all able to we're able to like work through and discuss amicably like how to fix all these like code issues. So I just appreciate the time that people put in to really like make this as good as possible.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this group is really good with communication, like better than yeah, most things I've been a part of. And it's very open to talking through. And the great part about this project is it is so open. Like we do have these wireframes, but it's totally up to everyone how they choose to tackle them and design them. So yeah, it's great. And this is I think we have 2 weeks left, which is crazy. The Kat, you're up next.
Yeah, I know Tiana's not here, but she had a super busy week, and we were able to like squeeze stuff in, like in the mornings, which I really appreciate from her. And then Lauren and Quinn, I always enjoy like just collaborating with you on PRs, whether or not it's like ours or like yours. It's so much fun because I feel like there's like a level of trust between us that like is really, really great. So we can just like bounce ideas off of each other and like really get to the nitty gritty, which is always so fun. And I wanted to thank the mentors for taking time out of your super busy schedules to just like be our mentors. It's amazing. I know that you guys all have like stuff going on in your lives, so it's really cool. Especially Lauren B this week. I really appreciated you taking time out of your holiday to send me those resources. I can't wait to read them.
Nice. Well, we can definitely say the same for everyone, all of you as well. Thank you for participating. Let's see, Keely.
Yeah, so great job to everybody for doing really awesome work. But so Kat, great job walking through the code demo solo. That's never fun, but you did an awesome job there. And I just liked talking through like how you thought through handling dates and solving the problems. That was really interesting to just think through. So thank you for doing that. Lauren, when I was reading your PR, I was really impressed by how you handled the checkbox styling and some of the work you did in search. So I wanted to call that out specifically. And then I just feel like anytime you drive during a demo, you always do such a good job of leaving people enough time to read the code and walking through it and balancing that. So thank you for just being a great driver there. Quinn, I feel like anytime I see communication from you, it's always like raising the bar or pushing us to go a step further, which is really awesome. So thank you for looking into like Cypress for testing and the feedback that you gave in the PRs. Lauren B, I thought that you went above and beyond this week as far as mentorship goes and giving feedback. So thank you for doing that. And then Matthew, you're always really great about just checking in and leaving encouragement in the channel, making sure people are doing well. So just thank you for always being present there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I feel like my personality comes out more in text-based formats than in person. Lauren, you?
Yeah, so this week I was really appreciative of, I know this was kind of a weird week for us since we're usually so good at getting things in super early that it felt more last minute for our group. But I'm really impressed that we could all get it done. And just specifically since I was working with Quinn this week closely, it was great that we could communicate regularly and separate the tasks out to get it done. So it was nice, as Kat mentioned, that we kind of had that trust there. It's like, okay, can you look into this? And I'll look in. Great, well, great, we're good. So I'm really appreciative of that and happy to be on this team. And to echo everyone else, I didn't mention enough, but the best part is really coming in and getting the reviews from you guys. So I really, really like that. And in particular, some of the things that Matthew mentioned at the end too are really useful, like just finding the non-dry code in the CSS file was, yeah, really great. So thank you. Please keep doing that. That was awesome.
Quinn, you have another one?
Yeah, yeah, it was but like Lauren said, we really did push toward like the finish line. But I think that like the regular communication and also, I mean, like Lauren, you killed it with like writing that code in like such a small amount of time, like just getting that up as quickly as possible, and then making it possible for us to like merge and get it all done today. So it was awesome. Yeah.
Nice. And then Lauren B.
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for hanging in there this week. It just felt like such a weird week. I don't know if it was just me, but it felt like a weird week. And then I was worried because like this group is always so like, oh, we got our PRs in on Monday and everything's merged on Thursday. But yeah, you all really knocked it out at the end. It was awesome. And then to second and third and fourth, what everyone is saying, code review is just in this team is really fantastic. I love the back and forth, and I love how respectful and encouraging everyone is. And then at the same time, really pushing everyone to just be the best and to think about things in a different way. And special thanks to Matt. I was here for office hours on Wednesday night before the tech talk on Wednesday, and he hung out with me in chat.
Yeah, it was fun. I don't see many people these days, so
Yeah.
I and yeah, it's crazy what a Monday holiday can do to a week and to the team.
Yeah, it was weird.
I mean, you're definitely on pace, you know, with PRs and everything as normal, but like Lauren was saying, we're so used to it being early that it was, yeah. But no, you guys, everyone did great. And then, yeah, mine was just, I just focused on the code reviews for this one. They're always so thorough and you really just do a great job kind of going back and forth and making small improvements that by the time like I get to it, it's like, I don't even know what to, everything's already done. So thank you for everyone for doing so good with those. So we'll move on to the what went well. So Lauren, yours is first.
Yeah, I think just the fact that we were able to work on things separately and not had to meet up each time was really helpful. That made it so that we were able to get our stuff done at the end. Yeah.
Great. Keely?
Yeah, just I think it's been called out a couple times now, but I feel like the issues and some of the problems you all had to do this week were harder than some of the past issues, and you had a shorter week to do them. So just thought everybody did really well on some issues that were pretty tricky.
Great. And then Lauren B.
Yeah, same. especially the sorting issue is one of the trickier issues in the project, and it's a lot, like all of the sorting and then plus handling the styling of the checkboxes, which can be weird. So I thought that was really good, and a lot of really good coordination happening in your threads in Slack. You know, everybody knew who was responsible for what, even if you weren't able to meet synchronously. So I thought that went really well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, those are some tricky issues that you just had. And then mine was just, with everything, I feel like every week there's something new, and this is almost an appreciation as well. But for everyone just kind of staying up with it and really staying accountable to like to each other is just really great. The pandemic started during like the last week or so of my time I went through it, and it was really hard to focus. So I just really appreciate and just applaud everyone's willingness to to keep focused on this. It is really cool. So for the last one, it's the what could be improved, and so Quinn, you're up first.
I just recognizing that we have a couple weeks left, so I think like whenever we have time, whenever I know that like we're all pretty busy, so just whenever we have time, like it'd be awesome to see like new like issues and just requests for like certain changes, or even just like I don't know. No, I mean I guess that's really just it. Like just I guess more discussion around like things that we may have like that are like burning, or something that we really want to do, but we may not be part of like an AC or something. Yeah. But that's like secondary to all the the bush is burning, and I mean, so yeah.
Totally. Yeah, I would definitely, just because the program's 8 weeks, you are more than welcome to stay up on this project and make it as good as you want. Because this is a great thing to add to a portfolio. So keep, if you guys want after, you're welcome to obviously keep meeting up and keep improving and adding features. Let's see, Lauren.
Sorry, I kept saying like, and all these we're normally more on top of it, but it was only to qualify my statements, just because I mean I still think everyone's like we're doing a really great job staying on top of it. So yeah, but maybe normally we naturally have our peer reviews in really early without having said, oh, we will do this by Wednesday. So maybe it would help, just since we're kind of waiting for others to do things before we continue, if we had kind of a soft like, oh, let's try to do this thing by Wednesday so that the mentors could do it by Thursday and then we could fix it by Friday, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Keely.
Yeah, so just wanted to own I was not very present this week, and I'm sorry for that. No excuses, but I just want to make sure that I will be more present next week than I was this week. And then I know we're getting close to the end of the program, so just wanted to make sure if there was anything specific that we did want to spend a little bit of time on. Like, I know, Quinn, you brought up testing in the past, and I think someone had also brought up things like Git rebasing. So if there was anything specific that we wanted to spend a little bit of time on, just wanted to make sure that we made the time to do that before the program ended.
Yeah, that'd be great. Lauren B.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw out there that I planned on doing like another office hour this week. But I'm trying to think of what would be a good day and time for most. Yeah, just throwing that out there. So if you just think about it. I had that. I don't even remember writing this. Okay. Code review. I think this week was just like, did I write that? Yeah, everything was a lot more last minute this week. But I think it was just weird with the holiday week and like the entire West Coast being on fire. So one good thing, Lauren, why that we've done in the past is like we encourage people to have PRs up by like Thursday. But this group is usually way ahead of that. So like having PRs up by Wednesday is probably a good goal to shoot for. I mean, depending what everyone's weeks look like, but Wednesday is kind of a good time. But this week might look a little bit different than previous week, so we shall see.
Yeah. And then mine is just admitting that sometimes, and this actually goes back to kind of what Lauren and, or both Laurens, we're just talking about in terms of like kind of rough scheduling. Yeah, sometimes the PR will go up and I want to jump on it, but then I want to be fair to the pairs to make sure that they that you're able to all go through it, since that's a very important part of this program. And then I'll look away and then all of a sudden they'll be merged. So for my own personal standpoint, it's just trying to think of how I could approach that so I'm still able to be effective and while not missing out. So I love the idea of maybe kind of rough scheduling or something like that. So what I wanted to do this time that I failed to do, we kind of did it last time, we just never put anything written down. Is there any of these, it doesn't have to be a scheduling thing, but that's one option. Is there anything that we all just kind of discussed that we want to kind of go further with? Something I can kind of make a note for that we can try to put in place for the last 2 weeks?
I think to make code review a little bit less, because I always jump in right away on code review, and I'm the same way. Like I need to let peer review happen first. If the group could, once it's been accepted by peers, if they could just ping mentors in the channel, then we'd know when to come in, like more specifically when we should come in, like, okay, it's ready for us to look at, and then we won't step on anyone's toes. That might be good if you just ping us in Slack.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like whenever you jump in, Lauren, it never feels like you're pre-stepping. When I see that you've commented on the other, I still end up doing I guess it doesn't bother me personally. I like it when you guys jump in, and I still feel like I get to do a thorough review of their code also. So yeah, I would love to hear even more of your thoughts if it's rather than having you guys be worried that that you need to hold back or something.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, that is good to know, because I often feel the same way. I feel like, am I like getting ahead of the other pairs, and maybe commenting on things that they would have commented, but so like kind of taking away from that occurring. But that is good to know. Do we want to kind of put anything in place then, or should we just leave that one with how it's been, since it has been relatively pretty successful?
I guess just like a counterpoint, like it would be interesting to see if like just what we come up with. Like I don't see a world where there's never anything to change and there's never anything to fix. And there's always something that can be fixed. So like I don't know. I guess it depends on like whether like do we as a like TCL, like the group, do we feel like we want to like try and take a stab at like writing these comments before the mentors do. I have no preference. I'm fine. I like when everybody jumps in. But that's like the one thing I can think of, I guess, like whether we comment first and we kind of get like we like learn something based on that or something, But
yeah. Then maybe if we can set like soft goal dates, just because I get stressed out personally if we don't have if I don't feel like we've had feedback from everyone and then it's getting to be Saturday. So yeah, maybe if we could have more, especially since a lot of them are back and forth, if we could, like the participants can do it by like Wednesday night or early Thursday, and then everyone else can jump in.
Okay.
Yeah, I think to add to Lauren's point too, like this week, I know that like my group had just sort of said, like we'll both just like work on the comments that are coming in on our PR to make sure that we're managing them, but didn't really assign anything or set any deadlines. So like I ended up like super busy, and then came back and like noticed that nothing had been responded to. So maybe like just more actively like assigning things and making sure that like you're saying like, oh yeah, like I will address the comments on our PR on Wednesday if you could do Thursday because like I have a scheduling conflict or something. It might be better than just like sort of throwing it up in the air and then like realizing that no one is going to catch it.
Mhm.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's a good idea. That's kind of like a communication thing, right? Like deciding when everyone needs to be sort of like, maybe you need to decide who's going to look at the PR on a certain day if people's schedules are different, and yeah, it's a communication thing.
Yeah, that's especially for being virtual and distant. It's not like you're in an office together where you can check in. It's and yeah, when you don't have a communication like coming back, you're not sure if it's being done or maybe it's already been accomplished. Like yeah, you really don't know the status of things sometimes. So that's a really good idea. So I think, is there anything
Could
else?
we maybe,
Yeah, sorry.
is there an opportunity for us to maybe pair program with you guys too? Or to do even like a group, maybe work like all 6 of us through something? I don't know. That might just be fun to hear how you guys work.
Sure.
Totally. I think that almost goes back to Lauren's office hours.
Yeah, when would be a good time, as long as we're all here, when would be a good time to do office hours? I'm trying to think. This is everyone except for Tiana. Tiana's Mountain Time. I'm Central Time. Matthew and Keely. We're across time zones. Yeah. But if one of us could be there, so what are good days and times for you all? Quinn. Let's start with.
Yeah, I'm good for Wednesday and Friday. I would imagine that like Saturday and Sunday is like pushing it too late, but Wednesday, I can do those. I can do, well, I can do Saturday, but Wednesday and Friday are good. Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday.
Okay, and evening-ish times.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Lauren, why?
Yeah, those are fine. As long as they're,
Okay.
I'm free after 6 p.m. on Eastern time.
Okay. And Kat.
Yeah, like Quinn's schedule works for me. I think the majority of us have established that we're all like evening / like night owls.
Okay.
So yeah, it's probably fine to do something at like what, like 5, 6, I guess, like when you guys are like finished working Eastern time. So like 8 on like the West Coast or 9.
Hang on a sec. I am looking at my schedule. Okay. What do I have?
Yeah, maybe we can watch you guys set up like user off and style.
Yeah, how much time do you have? I can do 8 o'clock Central Time on the 16th.
Yeah, same here.
Can you, yeah, you can do that, Keely. Cool. Matt, how does that work for you?
Central, so is that 6 o'clock? 2 hours?
Yep.
Just yeah, I could do that.
Okay. And then 9 o'clock Eastern is okay? Okay. Why don't we plan on Wednesday? I'll pop in a Zoom link to the Slack channel on Wednesday. But I would get started before then, and then we can kind of talk through stuff. You know what I mean? Talk through, because I think this week is going to be a little bit different because everyone's going to be working together. Then we can talk about decisions and kind of task breakdown and any technical issues that you're running into and stuff. Cool.
Great. So I think I just noticed the time, so we can definitely bring it close to this part. So thank you everyone for providing all of your feedback and ideas. I'll stop sharing.
All right, cool. I will share. So yeah, let's talk about this week. Let's see. Share my screen. And Okay, so traditionally, once we get to, you all are a little bit ahead of the issues because you knocked out an issue earlier. So this week we're on 14, 15, and then the last two are 16 and 17, and all of them are related to styling of the app. And so once you get to this phase, it's a lot easier, I think, to work as a group, since you're going to want to have a unified look and feel, and like those decisions need to happen as a group. So what I would recommend is that we work together as a group to do 14 and 15 this week, and then we'll handle 16 and 17 next week. And then Lauren Y was mentioning something interesting in Slack about probably within each of these issues, we could, or you all could decide like on task breakdown and like who's taking, let's break down the tasks, let's decide what we're going to do, and then who's going to tackle each of those tasks. So that can be another part of this process. And then to Quinn's point, I think this is also a good time that people can start. I mean, we already have a couple of issues, extra issues that Kat has created. But if you have other things on the app that you'd like to work on, go ahead and create an issue and work on it, like for these last 2 weeks, like in addition to the main issues that you're working on, 14 and 15. I'm just going to drag them to being in progress. And then feel free to create additional issues and then work on them and put up PRs, and we can all do the same kind of peer review process. How does that sound? Sounds good. So it's going to be a little bit more challenging in terms of like communication wise, and decision making in a larger group is a little more challenging. So I would recommend, like, you might want to have somebody that's either in charge of, someone who's in charge, like the project manager almost, or you could have a project manager for like each issue, but having those decisions about like who's in charge of like checking off the boxes basically. But I'll leave that up to you to kind of decide how you want to work it. But this is the really fun part, because you've done the hard work of all of the main functionality, and now you get to pull it together and make it cohesive and decide what you want it to look like. So what questions do you have?
I guess just as a personal thing, like I don't consider myself to be that great at like putting together an idea for design. So like I'm wondering if there's like a pseudo formula, like maybe not like, I know you can't like just, it's not just like it doesn't just exist, but like I know like choosing colors or that's what I'll think of right now. But like just I guess steps that would help us to like decide possible like look. That's kind of it.
Sure. Does anybody have this as a particular strength on the team?
I feel like I'm fine when I've used styling libraries, but if we're doing like just plain CSS, it seems like Kat might have the most experience with that. So yeah, I guess it depends what direction we want to go in.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm fine with like, I don't know, I guess like a little bit of that, because like I haven't used libraries. I've only ever done just like it on its own. And also like my partner is a senior product designer at Instacart. So like that is actually creating like grocery lists in real life. So maybe we can like steal some ideas or some like wireframes like from his ideas and get like a Figma file or something that we can play around in.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Absolutely.
We've fun if we used maybe instead of like the buttons, there's different like cart icons and stuff. Yeah, that'd be really fun.
Cool. And then I'm trying to think. Oh no, go ahead, Quinn. I didn't even know what I was going to say. Really, go ahead.
I was going to ask about I haven't taken up a full look at it. I was planning to, but Reach does it's like it allows you to add styling to components, right? Like it's more like a skeleton, right? It gives you like accessible components you can just add things to.
Yeah, and then you can style them. So it's not going to be a library like Bootstrap or Material UI that really, I mean, it has a teeny tiny bit of styling. What I like about that library in particular is that its components are designed with accessibility in mind. So it just gives you so much of that out of the box that you don't have to do. But on the flip side, then you'll have to do more styling on your own with that. But and it's not hard to override the styling. Like sometimes I feel like I haven't worked with Bootstrap in a really long time, but like overriding the styles for Bootstrap, like just for a simple button, if you want it to look different, takes a lot of, you have to write a lot of CSS, I feel like. But you won't have that issue if you used Reach. And you can use Reach, like, for example, I would suggest using a modal from some library. Like you could just use the modal and just pull in that piece of it. You know what I mean? Instead of like you don't have to use the entire library.
Okay.
Well, then maybe we could stick with that. I feel like Material UI, which I really like, but it has a steep learning curve. So to get comfortable with it, you have to devote like 2 heavy days of really exploring the components. But maybe Reach, it sounds like it's pretty new to all of us, and then we'd get to use like vanilla CSS stuff with that. Maybe that's a good way to go.
Cool. And then and then you could think too about, sorry, Quinn, you could think about using a CSS and JS library if that is something else that you would want to tackle, like something like styled components or emotion. That's kind of fun to use for styling as well, as opposed to using CSS files. So you're writing your CSS in JavaScript. That would be one more just complication in terms of kind of configuration to get that working too, but it's something to think about.
I guess I just like the idea of being able to, like, whether it's like Reach with our own styling on top, or like Reach with CSS and JS, or some other library that already has accessibility built in. I know there's so many times that I've seen, or I've tried to build things that I know, but it's just not up to the standards. Like it feels like it's falling by the wayside. So I don't know. I guess I was just like, I would love to see something where we like use some component library or are able to do accessibility relatively easy.
Cool. All right. So I'll leave you to it. We're going to meet on Wednesday, and then we can sort of talk about direction. You know, another thing to think about is, since we have 2 weeks, it could be that the goal is not, we could have a more free-flowing kind of project, so that like we don't have a hard deadline of you have to have issues 14 and 15 done by the end of this week, but maybe we break those out into pieces, or, you know, a big chunk of this week is like, we're going to make our technical decisions, how we're going to approach this. We're going to make our design decisions and our technical decisions. And then maybe only one of these issues gets done this week. And then, but because you've made those solid technical choices, it'll be a lot easier to work on the other 3 issues for the rest of the week. So that's, you know, that's another approach, something to think about. So don't be afraid, I guess, to spend time thinking through and making those technical decisions and design decisions. Because with those, then everything else falls into place a little more easily, I think. Okay. I'm excited. This is the fun and hard part, and fun and hard part, both of those things. Cool. All right. Great work, everybody. I'm excited to see what happens. Let me know what questions you have as you're starting to think about technical and design decisions. I'm not a designer at all. Those are not my skills. I am like a super CSS nerd. I love CSS. So I'm good at making things look nice, but I'm not good at like deciding what the design should look like. So we're gonna rely on you, Kat. Love it. Okay, great work, everybody. Thank you, and I look forward to meeting on Wednesday.
Cool.
Thanks, everyone.
Everybody.
On Wednesday.
Take care.
Bye.